Hello, hello. How are you all doing today?
Great. How are you, Brewster?
Hey, I'm doing just fine. Skip, it's great to see you. Dave
Hi,
Schmidt
Brewster.
is in the house with Mill Creek Alliance, and Skip is like renovating the entire riverfront for North Bend, Ohio. Fantastic. We have Kelly S. from Tell City. Kelly, great to see you. Keith, Kelly Snyder, great. Thank you for joining us. Dave Hudson, amazing. Paddler up par excellence, and Patty, thank you very much for being with us. We have people coming online here. We'll have a good turnout, I think, and get things going. So.
Beautiful.
How's the Little Miami? I mean, I'm sorry, the Mill Creek there, David.
Doing great, Brewster. We're in the midst of another Lowhead Dam mitigation at Bone Crusher Falls, your favorite drop off, and getting ready to do some more Clean Ohio and 319 applications for other projects. So things are hopping.
Fantastic, fantastic, buddy. And Lynn, thank you very much for joining us as always. Good to have you. Thank you very much.
And Keith, welcome. I don't know if you've made a coalition meeting before, but I'm glad you're here.
Well, thank you, Keith. Cool. So how you coming there, Skip, with your project?
Keeping me out of trouble.
We're,
Oh my
we're
God.
coming well, Brewster. We got a mini trail in. We've been clearing the beach of dead trees and telephone poles and all kinds of stuff. We hope to have our docks removed by the end of the summer. Those old dead ones that are there. Progress being made, and the great news is we got a $500,000 from the state to do our next phase of infrastructure.
Unbelievable. I was there about 6 weeks ago, just driving around, and it looked fantastic. So Skip is the project coordinator, as a volunteer for the village of North Bend, Ohio. And they now have a 900 linear foot riverfront park they are developing. It's pretty
Right.
cool.
It's awesome. Thanks for asking.
Yeah. Andy, good to see you. Thank you very much for joining us from ODNR. Bridget, welcome. Good to have you. I think I cut Keith off. I'm sorry, Forrest. Keith, thank you for joining us.
I'm here. I just don't have the picture on.
No problem. We're grateful.
I can turn the picture on now.
All right. That's great. Bridget, thank you very much for joining us as always.
For having me today.
Hey.
It's good to
And
see
Tricia,
you.
thank you very much. We love the Newport Aquarium and the Wave Foundation.
Thank you all so much for offering to be a sponsor, Tricia. I just got that email.
Yeah. So Jim Mallory's in the house with the Lewis and Clark Trust.
Good morning.
Good to see you, buddy. Thank you for joining us. Francis Manone, thank you, dear. Daryl Gray, Commissioner Gray from Brown County. It's always good to have you in the house. Thank you very much. All right. We have a few more minutes here. Of course, we try to start pretty promptly on time. So, Sarah, thank you very much for joining us from Orsanco, and I know you'll be making a short presentation on behalf of the Clean Ohio River Committee. So, thank you very much. We'll get you up early enough to meet your deadline. Amber, thank you for joining us. Good. All right. You in the car. That's great. And folks, if you wouldn't mind taking a moment to put in the chat your name and your organizational affiliation, so we'll see who's in the house. And we just have Kendall joining us. Great, Kendall. Thank you very much. Shout out to Amazing Rising Sun. Chad, thank you for joining us. Hey, John Olivier with the National Park Service. Thank you, buddy. So if you guys could just put in your names and your organizational affiliation, that'd be dynamite. So people will know who is in the house. And Kendall, you have some big events coming up, huh? Wow. Well, we have Deborah Cotterill, the mayor of Maysville. Deborah, always good to see you, Mayor. I'm sorry. I meant mayor, of course. Thank you for hosting us for the summit. You guys are pulling out all the stops for us. We can't thank you enough.
We're glad to help.
Well,
Thank you,
Caitlin,
thank you, thank you.
doing an amazing job for the city and for us. So we're very grateful. All right. So if y'all could put your name and organizational affiliation in the chat, that'd be dynamite. So again, Chad, good to see you. Thank you for joining us. All right. Noelle, thank you. Noelle's the co-chair of our tourism committee. She's the sports and events manager for the Indiana Destination Development Corporation. Thank you, Noelle. Hope all is well with you. All right. Matt, thank you for joining us, Matt. Great to see you. Derek, we got Indiana Trails in the house. Cool. Larry, wonderful. We have New Richmond City Council, David Rutter from OKI. Great to have you, man. If you all could put your name and organizational affiliation in the chat, that would be marvelous, so people know who is in the house. Great. So this is building. So thank you all. We'll start in just a moment. 1 more minute, okay? Minute countdown. So again, if you just joined us, if you could take the time to put your name and organizational affiliation in the chat. Catfish, always good to have you. Jessica, you'll be reporting, sharing shortly. John, thank you. Jerry Schulte's in the house. Dynamite. National Park Service again. All right. So Megan, good to see you. Alan Hurst. Hey, buddy, thank you. Mr. Trails, always good to have you. Oh, we have Judge Executive O'Neill from beautiful Mason County. And thank you again for helping us with our summit out there. Looking forward to seeing you. Joni, great to have you. Deanna, good to have you, dear. Molly, wow. This is really building. We appreciate you all joining us. If you just joined us, please put your name and organizational affiliation in the chat. Good to see Steve. We have the Buckeye Trail Association and Ohio Trails Partnership in the house. So Stacy, great. Can you take a drone picture of this meeting? That'd be great. So Tracy Coe with the Clean Marina Program for the state of Ohio, ODNR. It's wonderful to have you with us. And we'll begin in just a quick second. Rich Kogan, great. Thank you, Rich. Ohio River Foundation's in the house. Thank you. Natalie Foos, good to have you, dear. Thank you very much. So let us begin there, folks. So first of all, more people will be joining us. Scott, good to have you here. Well, maybe another 30 seconds here because everybody's just pounding in. I love it.
People keep popping in.
Thank you, Mark Young. Good to have you, buddy. Wow. Yep, we got people from up and down the river here from this point, Vanceburg, all the way down to Louisville. Just great. So if you're just joining us, folks, if you could put your name and organizational affiliation in the chat. Doug McDonald, always good to have you, Doug, from Ripley. Doing an amazing job out there, helping to build out the Ripley Riverfront. So we'll just start in 30 seconds. Okay. Rick Jansen is holding down the fort in Ironton. And thank you. Good to see you. I saw you the other day, Rick. Great to have you. Kylie Johnson, Ohio Environmental Council. Great to have you here. Okay. Name and organization affiliation in the chat. And we'll be great. Dave, good to see you. Okay. So let's go. So folks, thank you very much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us for our quarterly Ohio River Way coalition meeting. We call it a coalition because you all are members of a broad-based coalition of folks up and down the Ohio for a pretty extensive section of the river here who are all collaborating together to help promote the Ohio for recreation, tourism, economic, and community development. And we're excited about the work we're doing together. And we have a lot to catch you up on and to engage you in and to share with you from our standing committees today. And so that we have a packed agenda, we'll get right to it. But at first, I'd just like to thank you all for taking the time to come. Secondly, I want to let you know that that we've had a change in our staffing and leadership. So Mark Knoll, who was our executive director for the past year, did a great job for us. He has moved on to other opportunities, and we just really thank Mark for all he did to help our organization in this stage of development, and we wish him the best. We're not skipping a beat, however, and our executive committee has worked to develop a staffing plan, and where you continue to just keep moving forward with a lot of energy and skill. And our executive committee has appointed appointed Forrest Clevenger, who is on the call and will be directing the rest of this meeting, as our interim executive director. And he's an amazing young man with so many skills, and I couldn't be more grateful for him stepping up to provide leadership for us, to keep all the trains running on time, with great leadership and attention to detail. So anyway, we're real excited about Forrest. So many of you have interacted with him over the last year and a half. And so please welcome Forrest as our interim executive director. And I'm going to turn the program over to Forrest to move us through a packed and hopefully engaging agenda. So if you just joined us, congratulate Forrest. That's great. I love seeing Sherry. Thank you. Thanks, Dave. But if you just joined us, please take a moment to put your name and organizational affiliation in the chat so everybody knows who is in the house. We have about 69, 70 people at the moment. I'm sure we'll have a few more join us. Forrest, if you wouldn't mind taking it away. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Brewster. I see a lot of familiar faces in here, but if anyone would like to talk further, my email and phone number is always open. Been with the Ohio Riverway since the start of 2023. It has grown so much. I have learned so much working with this great crew and can't wait to keep going and not miss a beat. So with that, my first announcement would be that in the last few weeks, we have also been growing our team to meet the capacity we need on all of these projects. So we have 3 new contractors, all part-time, one of whom is on the call today. I'll start with Jessica Baltzerzen, who's coming on to fill some of the communications roles that we need as an organization. She'll be taking over the newsletter now. You all just got the first one from her a few days ago, and is helping out on social media and planning for the upcoming 2025 guide to the Ohio Riverway. So Jessica, you're welcome to say hi if you'd like to.
Hi, everyone. Super excited to be a part of this organization.
Awesome. Additionally, some of you all may know Heather French Henry. We have contracted with her to assist in some strategic outreach, particularly around the Kentucky Ohio River Regional Recreation Authority, a new entity the General Assembly created in Kentucky, but that will require all the counties along the river to join. So you might know Heather because she's a former Miss America and led the Department for Veterans Affairs here in Kentucky. So we're great to have her on the team. She's a powerhouse. And just a day or two ago, we brought on Sophie Ritzenthaler to help with some admin part-time. So you might get some emails from Sophie from time and time again. She's great. Moving on along, the top thing on our agenda, in addition to discussing staffing today, is the summit. I hope that all of you all are registered, and I'm going to go ahead and share my screen to talk through what that program looks like. So our summit will be September 11th and 12th in beautiful Maysville, Kentucky. Thank you all so much for hosting us down in Maysville. You've been so helpful. Thank you, Mayor Cotterill. And shout out to Caitlin Bailey with Visit Maysville. If you haven't registered yet, you can go to our website, Events 2024 Ohio Riverway Summit. It's going to be a packed agenda, not dissimilar from last year. We will have a afternoon and evening of social activities on the first day, including paddling and trolley tours of Maysville. And then in Limestone Landing Park, which is beautiful and right by the river, we're going to have a dinner with some live music and a bar. On the 12th, that will be our full day of programming. It'll start with networking. We'll have tables for folks to have booths, including our sponsors. We'll kick off with some opening remarks, and then we'll have a panel with representatives from each state going through the state of the river, all of the major things that have happened in the last year, and the stuff that we're looking forward to, with a lens to this projects in specific states. And then we will break out for state-specific breakouts. This is new for us. We haven't done this before, and I think it's going to be a great opportunity. We are working to have grant managers from each state in each of these meetings for some matchmaking in terms of the projects that you all might have and the funding opportunities. Additionally, it'll be a chance to talk about state-specific initiatives. So in Indiana, we have Ready 2.0. In Ohio, we have the $152 million for the Ohio's Wonderful Waterfronts Initiative. And in Kentucky, This will be the first in-person convening of county officials regarding the new recreation authority. From there, we'll have a plenary session to talk about some federal work, our water trail application. We'll have officials from the Army Corps of Engineers to offer a Core 101 presentation, and our partners with the National Wildlife Federation and with the Ohio River Basin Alliance will present on updates for the restoration initiative. This is also a time where we'll shout out the congressional delegations present. Right now, we have about a half dozen offices that plan to have representation at the summit from both the Senate and the House. Our keynote presentation is going to be from University of Kentucky students. It's a great crew. We paddled with them during the challenge, and I think it will be an interesting, informative presentation. They have been doing work specific to different river towns on how to have great waterfront development. Afternoon, we'll have our committee breakouts. You can talk to the committee chairs there that you're a part of on what those meetings will look like, but it's the annual in-person convening of them. And we'll have a seminar on waterfront projects that don't wash away. We're incredibly excited about that. The Corps of Engineers will be presenting there, as well as board safe docks. And we're going to have some people talk that have had good and bad experiences with waterfront projects. And then that's the summit. If you have any questions, please don't reach out to me. The last thing I'll say is we do have a few spots left for sponsorships at the summit and for tabling. We're incredibly excited to have Board Safe, Duke Energy, North American Stainless, the Tourism Cabinet in Kentucky, as well as Orville, Sons and Daughters of Pioneer Rivermen, and Explore Augusta. We just got Wave Foundation to come in as a sponsor. If you're interested in being a sponsor, shoot us an email. We would absolutely love to have you as a sponsor. Are there any questions on the summit? Everyone here is planning to attend, right? Beautiful. Okay. Well, those are my updates there. You'll keep getting more via email regarding that. Jumping into the next part of our agenda today, we are going to have some updates from our committees. And to kick that off, Sarah, would you like to provide some updates from the Clean Ohio River Committee?
Hi. Thank you. So my name is Sarah Steegers. For those of you that don't know me, I am the Public Information and Outreach Coordinator for ORSANCO. So handle all the public information as well as coordinate our Ohio River Sweep program. So a couple updates from our Ohio River Sweep program. If you're not familiar with it, it's a litter cleanup program that extends through all 6 states that border the Ohio River. And we have a season that begins March and runs all the way through the end of October. And we provide free litter cleanup supplies for any event. So that's including volunteer t-shirts, trash bags, and safety gloves. And all you have to do is register your event and we ship it free of charge. So I'm going to drop in the chat how to register. That's the link for how to register supplies. I know a lot of people on this call have hosted events. So thank you for those of you that are contributing to the metrics that I'm about to share. And then if you have an upcoming event, please drop it in the chat if it's open to the public, just in case anyone wants to join. And then if you would still like to plan an event, you have until the end of October to request those supplies. So, and I'm going to drop one more link. We have an end of season event that's going to take place on Friday, October 25th, and that's going to be at Schmidt Fields. That's in Cincinnati. So I'm dropping the link. That's our webpage. So registration is required, but we'll provide lunch. So if anyone hasn't had the chance to host a sweep or would be interested in joining another one, please join us. We would love to have you. And then, yeah, just to share some of our successes. So far, we have over 100 events registered, with more events registering each week. 87 of those have already been completed. And thus far, within the Ohio River Basin, we've removed 56.7 tons of trash recycled 1.43 tons. 2,656 volunteers have participated. We've removed 339 tires and cleaned over 184 miles of shoreline. So we're really proud of that impact so far, and we'd love to keep it going. So please let me know if you have any questions, and we would love to work with you in the future.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Sarah. I know you all are doing incredible work with the river sweeps. It's always great to see that stuff end up on social media. Noelle, I see you're on. Can you provide an update for the tourism committee?
I can. Sorry, I'm ill prepared. I didn't know I was talking today.
Sorry, Noelle.
Well, our committee is not meeting again. We've been meeting on a more of a quarterly basis. We did provide all of our committee members with a toolkit back in June to be able to utilize some of the resources available in regards to some of the expertise within the members of our committee, but also to be able to hopefully put some of those things in place that are continuing to help them promote their river activities and events, as well as provide them to the Ohio Riverway staff in order to make those other things more robust. The next thing that we're doing, which is on my to-do list, is to convene a small sort of subcommittee along with Jessica to start talking about the guide for 2025. So that invite will go out to our committee members to kind of get a smaller group together over who would like to provide input into that project because it's pretty timely. So it's got to be folks that want to be focused and participate. And then we'll be meeting and having our regular committee meeting during the summit. So the intent is that for those not attending, they can join electronically via Zoom or Teams, however we set that up. And for those attending in person, we'll just have our regular committee meeting during that later meeting time on the last day of the summit, or the main day of the summit. So that's, I guess, our main update at the moment as to what we have going on with our committee group.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Noelle. We
No
are
problem.
very excited to engage you, the tourism committee, as we talk more about the guide for the coming year.
And Forrest, maybe you can just mention some of the folks, the tourism folks who are sort of our special guests coming in to be helpful.
Great point. Thank you, Brewster, for reminding me of that. For the summit, in person, we are excited to have representation from each state, not just in the local bureaus, but in the statewide tourism efforts. So in Indiana, we have you, Noelle. Brewster, I'll let you speak more to the Ohio contact. I don't know him as well.
Yeah, Doug McLaren used to be the tourism director for the state of Ohio Department of Development. He's now the tourism director for the Ohio Chamber of Commerce, and he's just a great guy. And so he'll be coming as well with all of his experience at the table. And we may have somebody additionally from the, well, we have John Kerry, who runs the Office of Appalachia for the governor of Ohio, who will be there. And of course, he's deeply engaged with tourism stuff as well. So we're excited about that.
In their office is administered the Wonderful Waterfronts Initiative.
Exactly.
So we're very excited to have John Kerry there. In Kentucky, the Secretary of Tourism, the State Cabinet for Tourism, Arts, and Heritage, Lindy K. Spear, just sent me a message a couple days ago saying that he plans to be at both days of our summit. So we're incredibly excited to have him there and to have these statewide entities engaging with the tourism committee. I know, Noelle, you've been here a while, but glad to have Ohio and Kentucky hop on as well. So moving on along. I see we have Christy Knoll that has hopped on, as well as Paul. Would love to have updates from either of you for the History Committee and the Conservation Committee. Paul, would you like to go first?
Sure. So the good news is that orvillelearning.org, our website, has been debuted, and I just sent that to everyone. It's looking very good, and it's getting a lot of hits. That's in conjunction with the Kenton County Public Library in Covington. I attended a session of the Institute of Museum and Library Services out of Washington, D.C. about possible grants for our digitization project. And unfortunately learned that their digitization projects have been ended. But for those of you who are out there and at all involved in any kind of nonprofits that deal with Indigenous Americans, their new focus is Indigenous Americans. And that should be of great interest to quite a number of you up and down the Ohio River. So I do suggest that you get a hold of the IMLS, the Institute of Museum and Library Services. I'm also going to put my email here so that everybody can get a hold of me about that. But we were not at all discouraged because we looked over our grant proposal that we were kind of preparing and said, well, maybe we need to take a more holistic approach. Instead of just looking at digitization efforts, we need to see what we're going to do after we start digitizing things with our partners. And so we're going to ask our partners to present what they would like to see, 3 primary documents or whatever, if we were to look at K through 12 curriculum development. So we're adding to this grant proposal K through 12 curriculum development. So any of you who know any very smart teachers out there that might want to be involved in that, let us know. And besides the K through 12 curriculum development, we also want to fold into here some money for the 3-volume, history of the Ohio River Regent that Bloomsbury Press is very much interested in. So we're working on all 3 of those projects simultaneously. And of course, all of them parallel very well with everything that you're doing at Ohio River Way. And we continue to say that in any way that we can help any of the other folks in Ohio River Way, please let us know.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Paul, for all of what you're doing there. Orville has just taken off so quickly, and it is great to see you all marching ahead there. Christy, would you be able to talk about the Conservation Committee? Christy Knoll, are you on?
Maybe Mark Jacobs?
Yeah, I can take it. I think Christy is on.
Thank you, Mark.
Maybe her mic is off. But anyway, real briefly, we did have we changed our format to quarterly. So we did have a meeting a week or so ago. The major things we discussed were, one of the major things was Cora, how that's going. And actually, Boone County just voted last week in their fiscal court meeting to join Cora. So that's kind of a big thing for us. We were hoping that would happen, and it did. So we'll see where that goes. Jack Phillips from our planning and zoning is still working on mapping of the area, and obviously focusing on the Boone County, Northern Kentucky area. I think he finally got a hold of some information from Human Nature that he's starting to go over to incorporate that into the mapping effort. Let's see. We did discuss trying to get together some sort of inventory of local projects in the event that Cora is successful or some funding comes down the pike. We do have 2 or 3 in mind around here in Boone County, but hopefully we'll be adding to that. And finally, Susan Brown from our office, she's our education specialist, will be working and starting to put together some education materials for us, particularly the conservation part. So we'll keep you posted on that as it progresses. So that's about it for now, unless Christy is on and has anything else to add.
Yeah, sorry, I couldn't unmute my mic. No, Mark, that's great. Yeah, the only other thing is just we are, anxiously awaiting the Ohio River Restoration Plan. And we're looking forward to seeing everybody at the summit so we can kind of hopefully talk that through and see where all the conservation efforts lie.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Mark and Christy. Jessica, I have you on deck to talk about the travel itineraries, but just to chip in there on the restoration initiative, Christy, Yesterday here in Louisville, our team attended a listening session with Congressman McGarvey and Congresswoman Houchin, the co-chairs of the Ohio River Basin Caucus. And I take that as a very good sign that legislation will be coming down the pike shortly after the publication of the restoration plan, which is, I know, still getting comment. So, update there. Jessica, are you ready?
Yeah, let me share my screen. All right. Hopefully everyone can see that. Yeah, so we really wanted to bring more attention to our incredible river towns and everything that they have to offer. So if you're on the Ohio Riverway website, you'll just go to this Find Adventure tab and go down to travel itineraries. And it'll take you to this page. Right now we have 5 weekend travel itineraries that showcase different regions and areas along the Ohio River that travelers can explore in a weekend. So let's, for example, click on this Northern Kentucky one. So as you'll see, there's these kind of like high level recommendations up top. So these are good for if someone's just kind of skimming the page, they can say, okay, what are the key stops? What are the main attractions? Where should I eat? Where should I stay? And so, yeah, those are very high level. But then when you scroll down, we have these kind of, more robust day by day itineraries or things to do, things to see, where to go. And of course, since we are an Ohio River organization, these itineraries are centered around activities on or near the river, but they also encompass the unique things that each region has to offer, whether it be learning about bourbon in Kentucky or, the Underground Railroad history in Ripley. We really wanted to highlight the art, the history, the culture of these specific towns. And then all of the itineraries also have outdoor recreation options, whether it be kayaking or canoeing on the river, hiking or mountain biking in state parks, strolling along the river, or even just great spots to sit by the river to watch a sunset or listen to some live music. We created these to emphasize, the beauty, the recreation that the Ohio has to offer. So yeah, definitely share these with your own respective audiences, however you see fit, or hey, even take one of these trips yourself to another stretch of the Ohio that maybe you don't often visit. So yeah, Forrest, is there anything else you wanted me to highlight there?
No, thank you so much for showcasing those itineraries. They're beautiful, they're great, and they are fitting into a larger vision for the sort of resources we want to have available on our website for potential visitors to our region. So I think these travel itineraries really fit a land-based audience, likely in their car for the most part. John Olivier from our team, who you'll hear from later, is working more on paddling guides that could also be of assistance to some boaters. We already have some boating safety resources on our website. But my goal is by the end of the year to have that Find Adventure tab be a bit more simple and a bit more robust with the content that is there. And this is the first major part of that. So thank you so much, Jessica. Going along in our agenda, I believe the next update is on the Kentucky-Ohio River Regional Recreation Authority. We've talked about that a little bit here. Heather is our point person on this now. I don't believe she's here. She's managing a booth at the Kentucky State Fair at the moment. But to fill in for her, our goal is to have the required counties pass resolutions to join the new authority before the summit. And we are well on track to do that because of all the calls and all the emails that Heather and our team has been doing, and from all the support from folks like you. It's been great to see that grassroots support. So far, we have resolutions passed from Boone, Ballard, Hardin, and Kenton, I believe, coming down the pike, and some of these might already be passed. We have Campbell, Mason, Bracken, Greenup, Boyd, Jefferson, and Davies counties. So in total, 25 counties are eligible to join. We need 11 to have passed resolutions in time for the summit. So we are well on track there.
And Forrest, just checking the chat, there were resolutions recently passed by Gallatin, Campbell, Kenton, and I believe Boone as well. I could be wrong, but hats off.
Yes. Perfect.
And I know that Judge Executive McNeil from Mason County he's been a real leader with this effort, and he's on the call right now. So it's wonderful to have you in the house there, Judge Executive. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And
Greatly.
Forest, just to let you know, Lewis County has passed it as well with Vanceburg, so that's being sent in. So I think
Beautiful.
we're at our 11 already.
Beautiful, beautiful. So these resolutions are being sent in to the Department for Local Government, which when they get the 11 will say, well, the authority exists now. And
Forrest, just to interrupt again, Richard Searcy from West Point is online, and he happens to have his county be the first one to submit the resolution. So we just want to say a shout out to Mayor Searcy.
Yeah.
yes, thank you, thank you. If you're interested in receiving more materials on Quora, shoot us an email. Have some one-pagers focused on explaining it, as well as draft legislation passed. Chugging it along, I think we're doing pretty good on time. Do we have John and Jerry on the call? I believe I saw you hop on earlier. If you all would like to talk about any updates to the National Water Trail designation application, that would be great, as well as the signage that we have ordered and those paddling guides. John.
All right, I can get started. John Olivia here with National Park Service. As Forrest mentioned earlier, we're working on a paddling guide for all 330 miles now of the Ohio Riverway. And that's going to be part of the National Water Trail application that Jerry is working like crazy on. And it'll be available eventually in an online version and also a print copy. And basically, it's going to include a narrative section with a lot of general information on safety and navigation, the locks and dams and things like that. But what we've also done is there'll be a lot of maps that will be offered on the guide. And we've divided the Ohio Riverway into 13 sections. And they're not, a section does not mean a trip. It's really more, the division was done more to have a manageable amount of information and so that we can provide a focus in each section on the river towns, because that's how this whole thing got started, with all the river town involvement. And that's what's really going to make this work. Each section will have its own map and then some narrative on visitor information and things that make your section kind of special. And that's where you all are going to come in to play a part in making this thing successful and useful. We're going to be providing a venue for providing some input to us on each section. And we're going to start that off at the summit. We'll have a table set up where you'll see my face there behind the table. And I'm really looking forward to talking with you about, what makes your section special. And we'll have drafts of each section description available too. So you can take a look at that and say, hey, how about, can we add this? Can we add that? And the other thing too, and then I'll wrap it up. Each section description will include links to all the local tourism boards and organizations. So we'll have that, but it'll also be great to add a couple of, section highlights to each one and some can't miss kind of things. So anyway, looking forward to providing, to talking with you, all of you about your section.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, John, and very, very excited to see those drafts at the summit for everyone to get feedback. Jerry, are you ready to talk about the signage a bit more? And if you'd like me to, I can go ahead and share what that looks like and that schematic.
Yeah, if you would, Forrest, that would be great. That'd be great. Yeah, there are three components really to the National Water Trail application. One of them, as John has pointed out, is the guide that he's working on very, very diligently. The second one is before you here, and these are the signage that's going to be going at 75 different locations along the water trail. We're getting these printed up as we speak. And hopefully in the month of September, I will be traveling up and down the river, up and down the trail. and delivering these to the communities and the facilities that are going to be displaying them as part of designating them as part of the Ohio River Way. The signs will be two-sided. One side will face the river, the other side will face the parking lot, hopefully. And we will get a lot of coverage on this. Where you see the mile at the top left, we'll put the Ohio River mile point of the community or the ramp or the facility that we're identifying. And then where it says line 1 type, we actually have the name of the community or that facility listed. So as people are paddling or boating out on the water and they come to a ramp and they see one of these signs, they know exactly where they are and exactly what community there is. So we've kind of conquered the first part of the signage thing with getting the design finalized. We'll get them distributed. The third component of all of this is the letters of recommendation. Most of the communities and facilities that I've been talking with are very interested and very supportive of sending in letters of recommendation for us, which need to be attached to the application. We need those letters of those letters of recommendation and support not later than September 30th. That just gives us 30 days before we have to get it submitted. So we're going to be putting together a bulleted outline of some of the things that the National Park Service would probably key on or would like to see in a recommendation. And Forrest will get those out to you, or we'll have them on our website available to you, so that if you need a little assistance, a little help in developing that, we have it there for you. If you don't, the sooner you can get a letter of recommendation to us, the better it would be. We greatly, greatly appreciate that, and we greatly need them. So anything you can do or anything we can do to help get those letters in by September 30th, that would be helpful. Thank you so much.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Jerry, for all the hard work you're doing here. It's a tall order to get all these signs in the ground by November 1st for this application, but I know, Jerry, you'll do great, and we will be in touch about letters of support.
Well,
so I'll stop.
Yeah, Forrest, if we step back for a second, the effort to have our stretch of the Ohio River Way, designated as a national water trail, designated as such by the National Park Service, is a big deal. There are only 36 national water trails in the country. The Great Miami River is one of them, the only one in Ohio. So it's a big deal to get this level of national recognition. We will be then on the National Park Service website of National Water Trails, and promoted and marketed at the national level by them as a great place to explore. Obviously by canoe or kayak, also by powerboat, by bike on the shore, and by car. So it's a way to basically help the rest of the country understand that we have something special here with all of our historic river communities, all the recreational assets and amenities, the unique heritage tourism that each of our communities have to offer. It will be amplified at the national level by us achieving this designation. So it's a big deal, and it's very competitive. It's very difficult to get. That's why there are only 36 in the entire country. So what's critical for us is to basically demonstrate by the 1st of November that we actually have a water trail. And the key elements are the signage at every one of these public boat ramps. So that's why we have, I think, what did you say, Jerry, 70 or so? 70 plus 75 different boat ramps in Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana that are open to the general public. And we will have this signage at each of those ramps. And what we will, in addition, have the printed and digital version of the Paddlers and Boaters Guide to the Ohio that John is coordinating, which, interestingly enough, the National Park Service, for which Jerry and John both work, and with their time being donated by the National Park Service to us, the National Park Service is paying for the design and printing of these materials. It's a huge commitment by them to us. It's kind of like they're paying people to help apply to themselves for us to get the designation. It's kind of pretty unique. And by the way, I see that Andrea Ireland is on the call, and Andrea for years worked with us through the Rivers, Trails, and Conservation Assistance Program of the National Park Service. And Andrea was so critical in studying and helping us get started. And so we can't thank you enough, Andrea, for being with us still. I love it. It's like we're your baby, and we're growing and growing and growing. But here's the deal. In order for us to get that status, not only do we need those signs, the material digitally and printed, but we need to document and demonstrate that the public along the way, communities that are engaged with us, support this project. So not only do we need letters of endorsement, ideally from the major state agencies, from Kentucky Fish and Wildlife, ODNR, Ohio EPA, and I see that we have Tiffany on the call, and of course a number of people from ODNR. That's great. From Indiana Destination Development Corporation, from Indiana Department of Natural Resources, a whole variety of state agencies. But we need letters of endorsement and support from every single community. Not only saying that they will promise to take care of the boat ramp that they have in their community or county, but that they support this project. It's in their interest for their community, for attracting and retaining talent, drawing tourism, to promoting economic development. So we will be on everybody's butt, frankly, to make sure that you get to us a letter of support. We may end up with 100+ letters of support. If we do, we'll nail this. So if you all wouldn't mind, I see Darrell Gray from Brown County Commissioner. We'd love to have a letter of support from Brown County, right? And down the line from Judge Executive Owen McNeil, from the State House, from state representatives, and from members of Congress and state legislators on all sides of the river. So it's just letting you know, we're giving you a warning. We'll be on your tails, folks, to get from you all letters of support from your nonprofit, from your community, from your agency. So is everybody on board?
And
Brewster,
then
I think somebody
as
just
you
raised
develop
up.
them, you can email them to me, jerry@ohioriverway.org, or to Forrest at ohioriverway.org.
And as far as just put in the chat, we will be sending to all of you an email that has information about this request with a draft, with an outline of what would be great for each of you in your own words on your stationery to write, that then will become appended to the application that we have. So you all get a follow-up from each of us, so from us about the request, and we'll then update. We'll let everybody else know whose letters are in. And that'll be a way to in a friendly way, goose you all up if you haven't gotten yours in yet. And so anyway, is that okay? Just laying that out for you.
Thank you so much, Brewster. I think you're right. This designation would be huge, an incredible honor that is not common, but just as important, I think the legwork we're doing to get to that point with the guide and the signage and all the networking is just as important. Jim, I see your hand is up. Do you have a question?
Statement.
Okay.
First of all, I just sent Jerry a query concerning the earlier letter that we had directed to Mark, supportive of the trail designation. We totally support this initiative completely from Lewis and Clark Trust view. And I hope you can find that letter. If you don't have it, let me, I'll see if I can dig it out of my computer and reissue it. But it needs to be done. Those signs and the designation for the Park Service, it's absolutely phenomenal. It will not bring more money to you directly, but it'll give you it will give you recognition beyond belief. Thanks a million.
Thank you so much, Jim.
And
Really
if I could just chip in, I see Judge Executive Sparks from Lewis County is on the call. Judge Executive, thank you very much for already passing the resolution in support of Cora. But it'd be wonderful if we can also get one from Lewis County, as I know we will from Mason and all the other communities up and down the river. So anyway, enough of that. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. Well, moving on along, the next item on our agenda is to shift gear into discussing funding opportunities, and this is a standing item on our agenda. Francis, are you on to provide some updates there?
Unmute. Okay, so hey, hello everyone. Let me see if I can go off screen too. That'll be a feat. Or on screen. Start video. So there's funding opportunities consistently around the region, and we've talked many times about what are standard trail funding opportunities in each of these three states. We have an ongoing relationship with the National Park Service, as everyone knows, and so I'm promoting specifically some of the resources that stem through the National Park Service, the Department of Interior, into the states, and we've been doing work with soon to be announced, but work on some of these different opportunities. So the deadlines and openings for Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana are listed here for the Recreational Trails Program and Ohio's own Clean Ohio Trail Fund. some of these seem far away, April 2025. But they're not really when it comes to planning for these sorts of things. So I want to make sure people are keeping these in the back of their minds when they're thinking about how to improve their communities. One of the ones that's coming up quickly that's not already done for this specific calendar year is Ohio's Land Water Conservation Fund's application are typically due in November of each calendar year. So there's still an opportunity yet this year to get into the flow of these state-specific standard trail funding opportunities. See if I can move to the next slide. Hang on a second. See if I can do this. There we go. State-specific community development. So I just want to call out these 3 specific opportunities. The Ready 2.0.
Hey, Francis, it did not. There you go.
The Ready 2.0 program has been ongoing in the state of Indiana. All you Hoosier folks know it well. I know some regions of Indiana have already closed their opportunity for this particular year. It's a little difficult to track where everyone's, I know they're comporting underneath a specific standard from the state, but they're, I would make sure that you're paying attention to potential opportunities through the Ready 2.0 program for your particular community. Ohio's, and these are not specific to trails, but they'll be useful for community development. Ohio's got that transformational mixed use development program. That will close, it opens soon. It's going to close in October. That's a great opportunity, especially for small communities, because the competition for those funds for small communities in Ohio is easier than it is, or lighter than it is for the major metros. You guys get a special carve out. And then another interesting one that popped recently, or was discussed recently, was the Cleaner Commonwealth Fund, which is a 0% demolition loan fund going on in Kentucky. So these are just a sampling. There's plenty more, but I wanted to call those to your attention. Next up is federal opportunities, large federal grant opportunities. Now, these things are hairy and very large and very hard to coordinate. So if you see a little bit of you in any of these opportunities, and you don't think you are an eligible applicant in and of itself, what we at the Ohio River Way would love to do is help coordinate with you a network or a stakeholder group that would be interested in going after it as a collective, instead of just, hey, we think this is fun. How could we get there on our own? And I say that because these federal opportunities are hard to get. The Reconnecting Communities pilot application is due later this fall. RAISE that's a USDOT thing. They will, RAISE will reopen in the spring. A lot of communities, I know there's several applications coming out of Cincinnati for the community change grants with US EPA. There was chatter about that nationwide because that was one of the newer programs that was not getting enough applicants early on. And so I think they've done enough barn stomping, trying to get people in the door to get applications in for that, but it remains open as a potential opportunity. The assistance for adoption of the latest and zero building energy codes, USDOE, there's phase 2 of that happening right now. This is all through IRA. The National Fish and Wildlife Foundation, there are a ton of different opportunities with NIFWIF, so I didn't want to list them all specifically. And NIH has several opportunities that we're in the process of looking. And then last, and I'm done with this, ARPA funds. A lot of communities are still in the process of trying to make sure that their ARPA funds are out the door. If your community is not large enough by population size, it could be that your county still has ARPA funds left, and it could be your state still have, it's likely that your county still has ARPA funds left, and it's likely that your state still does too. Everyone's eager to see what they're going to do with this, but that is a potential opportunity, especially if you were awarded ARPA funds and you're already in the system and there's extra resources left as the deadline approaches nationwide. There we go. That is, I'm done sharing. Any questions? Happy to take it, but just wanted to get the juices flowing for people who are interested in funding their operations and projects.
And Francis, I should reinforce that during at the summit, when we have our state breakouts, we're working hard to get folks from the state level in each of the 3 states who have, like ODNR, for example, we'll have some wonderful key people who manage grant programs at the Ohio breakout. And we're working as well with Kentucky and Indiana to have state representatives there to share the latest information about their grant programs for trails, for boating facility infrastructure, etc. So another reason to come to the summit.
Yeah,
Perfect.
so if you, my last thing on the national programs, if you see a little bit of yourself in any of those national opportunities, but you don't think you're a good applicant or you are flat out ineligible to apply, that's where we leverage this network of NGOs and municipalities and what have you to potentially go after something larger. So you might think you're not eligible, but if it's interesting to you, run it up the flagpole, we might be able to put something together.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much, Francis. Really appreciate it. We have about 10 minutes left in the meeting, and before we do water table discussion and talk about updates from all of you all and give you a chance to speak more, this is our first coalition meeting since the challenge when we paddled 250 miles from Portsmouth to Louisville. And David, I was wondering if you wanted to provide some updates there, and I have the challenge report pulled up and I can share that if that's helpful.
Well, that would be great. Go ahead, Forrest, and share it.
Perfect.
We had a wonderful adventure, perfect weather. It was wonderful that we got to do it the week before. It really got hot. Even though we did have several people go swimming, so they did get cooled off. It just to give a shout out to folks up in Portsmouth that hosted us at the very beginning. It just was a great event. If you do have time this weekend, they are having their big festival, their Paddle Fest, and so it's on Saturday. And go on up. And we sort of helped dedicate a new boat ramp right there at the confluence of the Scioto and the Ohio River. Had a wonderful little initiation for it, including the president of Shawnee State University, who announced that they're having a new environmental science initiative there at Shawnee State, and will focus on the Ohio River and Scioto. So it's really a neat way to start off our adventure. We also, another big difference this year was we had students and faculty from 3 different universities. So Shawnee State had folks that paddled from Portsmouth on down to Maysville. Then in Maysville, we attended a wonderful statewide conference of the Kentucky Kentucky Humanities. But then the University of Kentucky joined us, and they went from Maysville on down to Cincinnati, and then the University of Louisville went from Cincinnati on down to Louisville. Another big difference this year was that we had some wilderness campsites, which really worked out well. We stayed at Payne Hollow one evening, so had a nice campfire and slept in the woods and sort of experienced the beauty of Mr. Hubbard's location there downstream of Madison. And then we stayed on 18 Mile Island, which is owned by Laura Lee Brown and Steve Wilson. And it just was a neat adventure. And then came on down and had a great celebration at Good Bounce, and had, some of our donors, Miss Christy Brown came, and it just worked out very well. So we did develop a nice report. Forrest did a great job of formatting it, and many of you maybe participated in the survey, and we had a evaluation afterwards, and it just worked out very well. One final thing is we are looking at next year again for sure, and do we do a different stretch of the river? Do we do 2 different trips? There's a variety of options there. And so if you're interested in sort of helping us think about the adventure next summer, please don't hesitate to get in touch with me or Forrest. And Forrest, you're online, so you sort of went the entire distance. Anything else, Forrest? Or we could certainly have Brewster, who got, his child got married in Italy, and he flew back the next day. And there he was spending 10 days with us. So, or Jerry, who did just a tremendous job with the safety piece. You know, not one person got electrocuted by lightning, and there were no capsizes. So many thanks to a safe adventure.
Well, it was a heck of a lot of fun, an incredible adventure, a great opportunity for our organization to network with folks like you. And I think the challenge speaks to the core of our work and getting people out on wilderness expeditions on the river. So David, thank you so much for your leadership there, and thank you to everyone that hosted us. As always, all the river towns and all the communities were incredibly hospitable. We got about 5 minutes left. So I think this is a great opportunity if anyone has any updates from your communities or your organizations. Brewster, if you have anything that comes to mind. The one last thing that was not on our agenda is I know our organization has a $1.7 million earmark request pending. So we'll keep you all posted if we hear any news from there. It was included in the House budget. If it gets passed by Congress, that would help fund 17 ADA accessible paddlecraft launch points throughout Ohio. So just another project we're waiting to hear on.
So Skip Holmes is on the call, and Skip is the project coordinator for a project to develop a brand new riverfront park in North Bend, Ohio. Maybe Skip could do 20 seconds on what you're doing.
Sure, I'll give you the very 20-second version. I've already used 3. We have master planned in today's dollars a $12 million William Henry Harrison Riverfront Park project, which includes hopefully one of the ADA kayak and canoe docks. We're in that earmark request. It would include a regular boat dock, one a floating and a permanent one, and then a pavilion for concerts. We have the most beautiful spot at the farthest north bend of the river. We connect with the William Henry Harrison Memorial and Tomb, dreams of an event center, and it's moving right along. I mentioned earlier that we got a $500,000 grant from the state of Ohio. There you go.
Great job.
Awesome.
Anybody else?
Bruce?
Go ahead, Robert.
Yeah. Just a couple things. I see our Vice Mayor Larry Bruce is on the call, but just want you to know that this summer, when it comes to an end in late September, we will have held 28 music concerts in 2 of our riverfront parks, and they just seem to be growing in size and enjoy each and every one of them. So that's coming along, and then you'll see our Liberty Landing is now in the hands of the designers and all, and that $13.4 million project that we got from the governor's Appalachian development fund. So things are really good. We got great government in Richmond, a good business community, and our nonprofit Renaissance in Richmond is working hand in hand with them.
Thank you, Bob.
Beautiful. Jim, I see your hands up.
Quickly, David, you and Brewster know that we've been making a major effort with the Lewis and Clark Trust and Lewis and Clark National Historic Trail to film the entire trail using Terrain 360. Fortunately, a few weeks ago, one of our investors stepped up, and the segment from Pittsburgh to Ashland, Kentucky will be filmed this September. It's already planned. It's already underway. It'll get done. It's a done deal. So that segment leaves us a little less, I'm going to say less than 900 miles of the Lewis and Clark National Historic Trail to be filmed with Terrain 360. So it's out there. It'll be made public very shortly. Thank you all.
If anybody has not checked out the Terrain 360 mapping initiative on the Ohio River, all you have to do is type in Terrain 360 Ohio River or Terrain 360 Lewis and Clark, and you'll go right there. It's really quite amazing. Detailed photography for every inch of the riparian area on both sides of the river. It's a perfect way to plan a deal, plan an adventure. It's also searchable by community or by island or by really anything. It's just a tremendous resource.
Thanks, David. And we continue to update that site. There was a lot of concern about the start and stop using method they were using. They tell me now that they're going to be able to just do a continuous flow, and you can stop it as you want to with your system. So it's a public device. We own it, we control it, but we want the public to use it. Everything we do is for public good.
One nice thing about it as well is it does have walks. So they have done video walks up and down the river. So if your community is not on that, certainly talk to Mr. Mallory and say, how do we get added?
We can arrange that for you, David. It's a thank you for putting that picture up. That's great. We actually started out as a scientific project, and immediately I said, wait a minute, the science will use it in 25 to 50 years. Tourism and the public cities along the river will use it right away. And that's really what's given it legs. We have investors that want to get involved with this project, and that's how the Upper Ohio River filming funding came about recently. Someone got excited about what we were doing and wanted to participate. They wrote the check. That's all that counts.
Really cool. Really, really cool. Thank you for sharing that. I'm glad to have the link to that. Another bit of news. I know Kelly Hess with Paddle Perry this past Saturday launched some Clipper canoes down in Tell City. So another exciting event there. I know some folks from our team in River City Paddle Sports were able to make it down there for that. So the more Voyager canoes on the river, the better.
Well, thank you, Forrest, and nice job as the manager of this meeting. Good job, buddy. You're doing great. We're all excited. And to our team on staff, Jessica and Jerry and John and others, thank you very much for joining us, and all of you. We have people here from Evansville. Thank you, Trails Coalition, to Deanna Clark from Marietta. So it's a really long stretch of folks, even beyond our sort of borders at this point. But we're growing, and we just appreciate everybody collaborating to help promote the river, so we can all keep attracting tourists, promoting outdoor recreation, and developing our community. So thank you very much for joining us, folks, and please be sure to register for the summit. It's going to be a great time in beautiful, historic Maysville, Kentucky, right across the river from Aberdeen, Ohio. And they're putting on they're pulling out all the stops to give us an opportunity to experience the beauty and history of that wonderful community. So please join us. It'll be substantive and fun. And there's great beer as well. So, all right. Looking forward to seeing you all later. Thank you very much. If anybody'd like to stay around, we'll be here for another 15 minutes, the water cooler chat of the Ohio Riverway Coalition. So you're welcome to keep hanging with us, and any follow-up questions or comments or feedback, we'd be grateful for. All right. So thank you. Those of you who have to go. Yes. Oh, thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
But you're all welcome to hang around the water cooler and have another cup of coffee or water. Oh, and Kendall reminds us that the Big Catfish Tournament is coming up in beautiful Rising Sun, Indiana. It's I understand, I don't know if this is correct, that you host the largest catfish tournament in America. And I was there 2 years ago, and there were almost 200 boats. People came from Texas to Rising Sun to catch record catfish. It was pretty cool. Anything, Kendall, you'd like to say about that event? Oh, it looks like she's maybe jumping off. But wonderful, folks. So she says that we get people from all over the United States, multiple states. That's just great. Another wonderful example. So anyway, anybody else? Tracy Coe, it's great to see you. You may have just jumped off there. I'm sorry. So Mike Perlberg is here, and Mike is the director of One Dearborn, and Mike is on our board and does an amazing job in not only Dearborn County, but all of Southeast Indiana. He's our key point person. So Mike, anything you'd like to chip in with if you're still there? I don't mean to put you on the spot, but it's always good to have you on the call.
Oh. Sure. But yeah, at the summit I'll be leading in Indiana, touched on earlier this morning, but be an Indiana breakout for any Indiana communities and agencies that are in attendance at the summit. We can kind of maybe talk about strategizing regional collaboration, cooperation around Rivertown projects, Ohio River projects, and looking forward to doing that, facilitating that discussion. So hope we get a lot of Indiana representation at the summit.
That's great. Thank you.
Mike,
Thank
you know, this is just a thought. We met yesterday with Representative Houchkin, who represents Southern Indiana, and she was incredibly supportive. She just helped save one of the beautiful boat ramps at the confluence of the Blue River and the Ohio, and rebuilding the boat ramp right there. He also saved the old U.S. Army Corps of Engineers pump house that's there as part of the park, and they're going to work to redevelop it, and is very involved in certainly the work at Origin Park and up and down the river. So maybe there's a way, Forrest, of inviting her to participate, or maybe her aide that participate in the Indiana breakout group.
I just sent them an invite as a follow-up to yesterday, asking them to participate in that Indiana breakout.
Well, perfect.
Perfect. It would be great to have them there.
You know, I wanted to just give another shout out to Jim Mallory and the Lewis and Clark deal up and down the river with this video. You know, one thing that when you called it up, Forrest, you didn't push on the button on the left-hand side, which, you know, allows it to proceed at 3 miles an hour down the river. And one can actually use that as a backdrop. So you can start off at the beginning of the paddle fest and push a button, and at 3 miles an hour go the length from you know, the field all the way down to Gilday, and use it as a screensaver. So all sorts of uses for it. And so I just really hope that when Jerry and the paddle guide especially can really, because you can, you know, in specific segments. So if it's like a ramp there at Gilday Park, you put in the link for the video and it goes right to that link. And then you can sort of go at 3 miles an hour wherever you want to go. So I think the more we can take advantage of our partnership with National Park Service, Lewis and Clark Trail, and the foundation, you know, the better off it is. I think even for applications, people like to see that we're working not in the only silo, but we're working with different parts of the Park Service.
Hey, Ben, it's good to have you join us. Would you like to, anything you'd like to share? It's good to have you.
Nothing to share. Just thankful to be able to join the group. Judge Sparks asked me to join, and he appointed me to the board that will be coming on board here. So excited just to get involved and see what happens.
So Ben, you're in Lewis County, correct?
Correct. I'm born and raised in Lewis County. I work in Ashland every day as a plumber and steam fitter. So that's my occupation. And but yeah, Lewis County resident, pastor church in Lewis County, and just love my home county. So yeah.
Well, it's wonderful to have you here, and thank you so much for your connection. Well, for being willing to serve. Assuming once we get it stood up, you would be the county's appointee. Is that correct, to the Kentucky Ohio River Regional Recreation Authority? Wow.
Correct. Yes.
Well, wonderful, Ben. Hey, Forrest, do we have Ben's contact information? We do.
We will have you in the database since you're registered here.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Good. Well, thank you, Ben, and we'll be able to keep up to speed with you. Okay, excellent.
Okay, thank you. Anything that you can point my direction, reading material, all that stuff that was mentioned today, I'll dig through as much as I can to try to figure things out. So thank you.
Thank you.
You know, are you going to be able to attend the summit in Maysville?
I may miss the first day. The labor management conference that's every year in Land Between the Lakes. I attend that every year, so And it's the same time frame, so I'll probably leave down there and come back and probably hit the second day there. My meeting is
Well,
on
the
the
second
10th.
day is the full day, and it would be wonderful. And that's one of the pieces we're really trying to do, is to get, folks from different counties there to really help plan this piece, because it's an exciting thing. It's the opportunity to have another venue for funds and support.
Sure.
Excellent.
Yeah, I'll be there the second day for sure, and hopefully the evening the first day.
Great. And I don't want to interrupt Rick Jansen working so hard in his office there, but it's always good to see you, Rick. And Rick, so you all know, is the director of the Solid Waste Management District for Lawrence and Scioto counties. He's based in Ironton, has been an amazing supporter, and we were together in Cincinnati the other day. And Rick has developed an incredible expertise and passion for expertise in and passion for making sure that when debris hits all the marinas and the fuel docks, et cetera, that he cleans it up properly, doesn't just shove it back in the river so it comes down to my boat dock. So I appreciate, Rick, what you're doing, and Rick is actually trying to identify funding for a boat that can be used not just in Ironton and Portsmouth, but maybe other communities to help deal with debris buildup. Right, Rick?
Yeah, the goal behind this is a 30-foot working barge that'll have a jib crane on the front with a capacity, a 30-foot tall extension on it that'll lift at 30 feet tall is 1,500 pounds. A lot of these places that we see that are littered with blue barrels, white barrels, appliances, tires, and so forth, once they get full of sand and mud, they're nearly impossible to do by hand. So there's been requests out to raise the $200,000 to purchase the boat, and I think we're getting close. I'm hoping that at the summit we might be able to announce something, but until we have it in writing, I'm just kind of holding off. But yeah, if every community can pitch in and contribute an effort to cleaning up their areas, it would make life so much better for everybody. This idea of pushing materials back out in the water and let it be somebody else's problem has got to stop. Let's all be responsible. Let's all invest, and let's do the right thing.
Well, thanks for your leadership. It's great.
Rick, have you reached out to anyone at Marathon? I know some connections at the Marathon Marine facility that handles all barges up and down Mississippi and Ohio.
I have no contacts with anybody there. What we do is pretty much all hands-on, tractors, excavators, so forth, tying chains and ropes and all that. But any contacts you could share with us would be great.
He's a great young man. Griffin Mason is his name. Great young man.
So Ben, would you mind putting your contact information in the chat so Rick can grab it? And
sure.
And then Rick, you can follow up with Ben. That's a perfect example of the benefit of this kind of dialogue here.
Yeah, we are also reaching out for some additional funding on a mini dredge that would get into some of the tributaries going into the Ohio as well. And we want to make this available to pretty much everybody up and down the Ohio River. That would be another piece that we'd like to acquire and put to work daily.
Great. Thank you. So Ben, you're a business agent? Are you the president of the local? What's your union?
Yeah, Local 248. I'm the business manager, which is the CEO position of the United Association. Right. So yeah.
And I'm sorry, what local is it?
Local 248.
Of plumbers and pipe fitters?
Yes.
Okay, great. Excellent. Well, thank you so much. That's fantastic. So we just got your email. So Rick, if you can follow up with Ben, boy, that's a great connection to make. Do you represent members who work for Marathon?
Yes, a lot of them. We do a lot of contract labor through them, and it's a marine terminal facility that I'm talking about. I've done a lot of work there personally.
Yeah.
My dad retired. His last day of work was at that facility. So yeah, pretty close with those folks.
Well, that's fantastic. We had, by the way, the gentleman who is the director or executive director of the Central Ohio River Business Association on the call for a little bit towards the second half of the call today. And so Rick has been working as well closely with the industry to make sure we're all on the same page. We collaborate, and they've been wonderful partners. And Jerry has been our key liaison to the Central Ohio River Business Association. So, okay, good. Forrest, anything else? Because otherwise I think we can finish our last cup of coffee and get back to work.
I think that's everything from me, but thank you all so much for a great coalition meeting and can't wait to see you all at the summit.
Great. Derek, good to see you. Thank you very much. Give our best to everybody with Indiana Trails. All right. And David Hudson, always good to see you, at least your name on the screen, buddy. All right. Thank you so much, guys. We'll catch you at the summit.
Thank you.
See you all.
Take care. Bye-bye.